Well, welcome everyone to the Pantheon. I am Ray,
I'm happy.
and today we're looking at the Punisher 2004, starring John Travolta. I almost called Josh Brolin, Thomas Jane, and Rebecca Romaine Stamos, because she
Yeah.
was Mary Stamos at the time. So,
Mm.
Evie, give us the rundown of this movie.
You have like a guy, and he had a fiance, and he got involved, like with some bad guys. Ended up going after him, because they were thugs, of course, mafia. So they killed his family. But he actually wants revenge, of course. And yeah, I won't give away like the story, but it was really well done.
Right, and out of all the Punishers we've seen so far to this date, you can even include the Punisher Warzone, which we haven't reviewed yet. Where do you classify this Punisher?
I really liked it.
Hmm.
I really liked it. A lot of action, you know, and it's not one that goes back to, CIA bad guys. It's
Hmm.
mostly focused on him trying to revenge, of course, but this one was well done and the story flowed.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot going into this. Thomas Jane, out of all the movies that was made, he's my favorite character out of all the three films.
Mm-hmm.
But not taken away from Winston or from Lundgren's performance, but I just like Thomas Jane for some reason. I mean, this came 2004, so this is not necessarily the one of the better films necessarily in the box office wise, but this was still a favorite of mine. It did really well on DVD. It didn't
Mm-hmm.
do too well in theaters, but
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of discussion over that because of budget. There are a lot of cutbacks.
Yeah.
The budget, the director John Hensley, he was a writer. He did like Die Hard. He wrote Die Hard: The Vengeance. He wrote some really like Jumanji. He wrote the Jumanji. He's
Okay.
he's a really big writer. But this film, it came out the same opening day weekend as Kill Bill Volume Two, so it
Mm-hmm.
didn't open number one, open number two. You
Oh,
know,
right.
and it followed 2 weeks after Hellboy. So,
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
so like it came out at a time where it didn't have a good shot at being number one, but like it was remembered. And it made like 50 million in the first weekend on DVD sales,
Mm-hmm.
but it made only like 44 in theaters. So,
Mm-hmm.
but overall, it's interesting. It's an interesting movie. It's based on Garth Ennis's graphic novel Welcome Back, Frank.
Mm-hmm.
Now the only actual violence was at the end of the movie. Really, you don't really see
Yeah.
him do anything. So for those of you again who thought this is a mindless violence movie where it's just one sided, I will challenge you because if you think about it, when I watched the movie again, he didn't go after the people right away, and I'll say this for two reasons. One is because he's a marksman. He's gifted as a sniper. Now he could have taken out Howard Saint early because he goes golfing every Thursday. He put his tombstone on the 18th hole, and
Yeah.
so like you gave the element of surprise. I mean, you could have killed this guy at the beginning and decides instead he's going to do like like a mind trick on him, making
Mm-hmm.
him do a bunch of stuff, which we'll get into shortly. And also, too, rather than going after these guys right away, he didn't kill everybody. He actually waited for the police to do something for
Mm-hmm.
5 months. Like he actually showed up when he revealed himself to the world. He was at a press conference with the police, and he came to the FBI agent and I guess the district attorney guy and says, "I've been gone for 5 months. You've done nothing. You've arrested nobody." And that's when the people knew he was alive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when he went after Howard Stern. After saying like, you've got there was no arrest for my family's death. No
Mm-hmm.
one came for my alleged death. And you guys, you have nothing to show for it. And now he's going to after them, and he was saying, people who the line is like, people, if you burn your food, you get upset. If you miss the bus, whatever, you get upset. What do you call what would you call what I'm feeling right now? Because I don't have a word for it.
Mm-hmm.
Because his family got killed and he got killed, and it was uh, a mystic shaman or a mystic black man who kind of saved him, brought him back from the dead, the
Mm-hmm.
voodoo guy. It's sort of strange. There's a lot of things about this movie that's a little strange because it takes place in Tampa, Florida. not New York. So the origin's a little different. And the reasoning behind that is because of tax purposes, it was cheaper to shoot in Florida, a
Yeah,
little
for
more
sure.
easier. But overall, I did enjoy. I thought, regardless of the box office receipts and everything, I thought it was. I like Thomas Jane. I thought he got into great. He was really great shape for it. And when I think of the movies, I think of him. You know,
Mhm.
I compare this to the Dolph Lundgren movie. How do you see that? How do you size the two of them, these two up?
Well, I definitely like the Thomas Jane one better. You know, it
Mhm.
was special effects. And at the end, like the cops couldn't give him justice,
Mhm.
so he did that. I know that's kind of not a good thing, like like to follow, but I can understand, and I do like the story too. It flowed, not like the others.
But do you remember the video game that came with this?
The what?
The video game that came with it was, I think, it was for the PS2.
Okay, no,
No, yeah,
no.
it had a lot of controversy because of the torture
Oh,
sequences.
oh, really? Okay.
It came out at the same time as Manhunt, which was like a really big. Uh,
Yeah,
that Manhunt had like people putting a plastic bag over your head and smothering and killing you.
yeah,
This one would Punisher would go after people and like put his like capture a thug and put his head near a deep fryer, and the more he
yeah.
pushed
Oh,
down, the closer he would get his face to the deep fryer to torture him. And then
yeah.
and
Oh,
then
wow.
after the fact, you could choose either you can shoot him after the fact or you can let him go.
Oh,
So yeah, it was, and in those torture scenes, depending on what country you're from, because of the blood, you'd go black and white rather than
okay.
color because it was so graphically violent. So it's one of the more controversial video games, and it made it depending on where you are, it's basically rated. It was rated. It was a rated R video game because of the torture sequences. But it,
Okay.
it got it, it flew under the radar because the game Manhunt, which came out around the same time,
Yeah.
really was the lightning rod for controversy. So,
Right.
which is probably why you never heard of it because it sold pretty well, but like it was sold for adults only or
Oh,
grown-ups.
okay. Yeah, I
And
remember them doing that, like putting it everything, R and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
so people like groups like Rockstar and like names that you
Yeah.
you probably heard. Yeah, they
GT.
yeah. So
Yeah.
you get that's what really kicked in the censorship to video games and keeping a
Right.
closer eye on them. So that's what started it all. So it was yeah. There's one. It was I remember playing when I was in England. I played it for a little bit and it was really. I saw the game play and it was like when I got to the gory stuff. I only remember from the European stuff. It was like it went black and white. I don't know about the North American
Version.
version of it. Yeah, it might be different. And also, it was cut. The film portions of it was cut differently in Europe.
Right.
So, okay. So, overall, I thought it was really good. I thought, in terms of, would you recommend this for somebody to watch? Is this something that you would recommend anyone else to see? Or
If they're older, like
Mhm.
17, 18, anything below is, yeah, I wouldn't have anybody under 17 watch it because it's brutal, and that might give people ideas
well, the
of
movie, I
like,
didn't. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah,
Uh,
you know, that give people ideas, and yeah, who knows what would happen as a result.
mhm. Well, what's kind of cool. I mean, there was only one torture scene that was kind of funny. It was a popsicle scene where you use the popsicle to like the Micron character. His name is Mickey.
Right.
He
Yeah.
became his informant from the inside, and rather than killing
Yeah,
him
you're
or harming
right.
him, he used a popsicle stick and a blowtorch, and he just kind of blowtorched a piece of meat. And he
Mm,
says like uh, it's so strong that when you actually blowtorch the skin, it feels like ice. You can't feel your limbs being cut up.
mm.
So it was very interesting. I thought the violence was very very tame. It's just near the end, but the rate I
Yeah.
gave it a rated R though because there's a nudity. There's two f bombs and
Yeah.
yeah, I guess. Well, plus, how do you like Travolta's ending? This how he got. it was it
That
was it
it
was
was interesting.
yeah because it really played like the last scene you see is basically like Daredevil. You see the flames and the
Hmm.
skull in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Where Daredevil in the movie 2004 or 2003 was. You see the DD on the
Hmm.
billboard on the road. So you
Yeah.
get the skull in a parking lot. So
Yep.
it was very cheese in that sense. But yeah, it gets the hard R because there's a really big nude scene and there's 2 F-bombs. So
Exactly.
but I like if he got rid of those, I don't think it really merited an R. It could have been an AA or 14.
Okay.
Thing adult accompaniment, but that's me. Okay, so Evie, where can they reach us?
On email,
Mhm.
Twitter, and internet.
That's right. At pantheonofm@gmail.com. And that's you send us an email, and also our website at www.pantheonofm.com. You can check out our website, my daily blog, my weekly blog, and of course everything you just mentioned, Twitter and all social media. Okay, so with that, I am Ray.
And I'm Evie.
We'll talk to you next week. Take care.
Take care.
Okay.